So a few years ago I did a video on how to get your Nvidia hardware, like if you're running hybrid graphics, how to get it working for your games and things, specifically on Steam, but I think I showed Lutris and some other stuff in there. In this one I'm just going to kind of update that video, because that actually still gets a fair amount of views, and there's comments on there every now and then, and they're usually like, this doesn't work or that doesn't work, which is fine. I guess it's just time for me to make a new video. So here is EG's 2026 guide of sorts for how to get your hybrid graphics, if you've got Nvidia on there, how to get it running for your games. Now, a funny thing about this is when I was setting up and preparing for this video, I was looking for a game that I didn't run through Steam. And I actually don't have very many. I have Steam, of course. I have Prism Launcher, which is Minecraft. I have Airshipper, which is Veloren. And then I just put a desktop shortcut for ProjectSilverfish, which is the game that I've shown at the beginning, but I'm going to be playing as an example because this is the game that showed me that the old way that I have been using, that you may be using, doesn't work. Well, I mean, it might still work. Some games it still works. So the old way is the NV Prime Render Offload, GLX vendor library name, and I'll test it with Project Warlock. Yeah, see at the top, those are the Nvidia driver 580, and that's actually the open source module. I want to talk about that at the very end. But the new way to launch your games, and the way that works pretty much every time, is VK icd file names, and then you point at this file name under your Vulkan directory, which is actually full of lots of other JSONs that you can pass in. But the one you want is just Nvidia underscore icd.json. So you take that and you pass it in, and then you pass it in if you want to use Mango HUD. Just make sure that game run is at the very end right before you run command, because these commands wrap each other. And it actually does matter. The order of operations does matter. You always want game mode to be at the end. But yeah, if you're still using the old way, which is through Bumblebee, and you're doing prime-run or some Bumblebee stuff, stop it. Don't do that. There are guides out there that tell you to do it. They're wrong. They're old. If it works, it'll probably break in the future, and you should upgrade to environment variables because those are better. You shouldn't require a third-party program to run your GPU. And if you're still using NV Prime Render, the GLX vendor library thing, so the reason why that works is it's actually calling into a vendor neutral thing for OpenGL. It was designed for OpenGL, basically. And as we move into the future, present, I suppose, like Vulkan has been around for a long time. There's not actually many things that even use OpenGL if Vulkan is available. And that's what I realized at the very beginning of this video is I'm like, I'll have, an example for OpenGL, and I couldn't find an OpenGL thing. Like, I would have to go back to some old game, and I just don't care enough for it. But anyway, yeah, the NV Prime Render and vendor library thing, that's for the OpenGL hook. The new method with the VK icd file name thing, that actually operates at the Vulkan loader level. So it's being picked up by Vulkan, I guess, like the top level that actually renders the stuff. So when the game engine calls VK enumerate physical devices or whatever the analog for it is, it returns every GPU found in that folder. So the problem is that if you have hybrid graphics or multiple graphics cards, the game engine could choose the wrong one, and that's what was happening with ProjectSilverfish. I also noticed that it was happening with Wild Assault, and that's how I triangulated it to Unreal 5, and it's because Unreal 5 only uses Vulkan, and so it only uses that VK file name thing. I have no idea why Unreal was picking my Radeon, like my iGPU. And of course, neither game let you choose it from the options or whatever. So I went digging, that's how I found this. And basically what it does is it overrides the directory with just that JSON, so it can only get at your Nvidia. And like I said earlier, you can actually pass in any of those JSON files. Here's Spyro's launch options, and since I do have a Radeon iGPU, I could launch it with the Radeon icd. And it works. You can tell it's working from the top left. It says the driver, and it's running not very good. And it's just because the iGPU is kind of wimpy. My hardware, by the way, comes from an Asus ROG Strix G15 or 15.7. Anyway, it's a Ryzen 7 4800H with AMD Vega graphics. But the Nvidia is a GeForce RTX 360 Mobile Max-Q with 6 gigabytes of RAM and 130 max watt and 130 watt max limit. So if you have a desktop version of this card, you'll get even better. But the reason why it was running Spyro not very good is because that Vega graphics just isn't that great. It's just not meant for this, you know. It's not that it's bad, it's just they didn't design it with graphics like Spyro or Project Silverfish in mind. But yeah, I guess the meat of this video is if you've had troubles with the old way or getting Nvidia to work properly on your system, it's not Nvidia's fault at all, actually. It's just the new way of doing things, and documentation out on the interwebs just hasn't caught up. So EG's making this video now, and you should use the new Vulkan way of launching. Actually, wait, I'm not done. I only showed Steam. But like I said at the beginning, I actually pretty much only launch my games through Steam. But since I'm on KDE here and I was just showing you Steam, you know all about Steam, I'll show you some other cool things. The first thing is my desktop. It's a KDE Plasma. I don't remember, and I'm not prepared to talk about my desktop. But this desktop wallpaper is super cute, and it's by Dune Tides. It's Resolute Raccoon, which is not out right now at the current date of this video, but it will be. But anyway, if you play around with Minecraft and you like mods and shaders and things, I can't recommend Prism Launcher enough. If you're using Prism Launcher, and maybe other launchers do this too, you can edit it and tinker with some things. If you go to Settings, my microphone was blocking it, and you go to, what is it, Tweaks? Yeah, here we go. Tweaks, Discrete GPU, and you can even turn on Feral Game Mode, which was that game mode run thing that I didn't actually explain in Steam. But that's Prism Launcher, and another game that I play from time to time is not Airshipper, but it's actually Veloren. And Veloren here at the start, you can open up options and change the graphics mode to Vulkan, and that alone should pick the correct graphics card, but if it doesn't, you can jam the environment variables in there and it'll work. And then lastly, I wanted to try this. I have not launched it like this, but if you have KDE and you have a desktop icon, you can right click it or left click it and open up the properties, go to application, and here's a spot for environment variables, but we're not going to use that. We're going to go to advanced options. Look at that, run using discrete graphics card. Now there's no settings. I have no idea what this is going to do or how it determines what it, what is a discrete graphics card. So if we open up NVTop, we can see the graphics situation, and device 1 is Nvidia, device 0 is Nvidia, device 1 is AMD, and this actually doesn't scale, so even if I moved it like that, you wouldn't see much difference. So let's leave this checked discrete graphics card and see what happens. Now I suspect that the Steam arguments will override whatever we put there, so it probably doesn't, and we'll know if Mango HUD is there. We'll know if Mango HUD is there, it means that it came from Steam, because I didn't load Mango HUD into the... So the desktop icon trick doesn't really do anything because, well, I guess I would have to take away the desktop argument or the Steam arguments to test it, but I don't care enough. You can test it for me and let me know in the comments. By the way, Project Silverfish is a really, really cool game, and it's running on Unreal 5, I believe. It's running on whatever Unreal Engine that gives Linux users trouble with hybrid graphics. Really, really fun game. Kind of reminds me of Rust, but it's single player, so I think most people would probably compare it more to Stalker. But anyway, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. And who knows, I might make another video like this in 2-3 years, maybe? Although, I don't see Vulkan being replaced or changed substantially, so hopefully this way that you launch it with the VK thing, icd, this will probably be the official way until something even better comes out. But I suspect that this will stay backwards compatible for pretty much ever, so. Alright, that's it. Happy gaming, and I'll see you when I see you again. I appreciate all your support. And thanks for watching.